Welcome aboard the Bitcoin Express. My name is Chase. Let's get to it. In today's video, we're going to talk about three things. Number one, Elon Musk's opinion on Bitcoin and crypto. Number two, US banks will possibly hold cryptocurrency for customers in 2020. And then lastly, number three, Ripple plans on having an IPO in 2020. Let's begin. Elon Musk was on a podcast on January 20th, 2020. And when it came to Bitcoin, he said, quote, that he's neither here nor there on Bitcoin. He praised it as a very clever technology, but at the same time, he said the primary purpose of Bitcoin is for illegal and criminal activities. Elon Musk was quoted saying, there are transactions that are not within the bounds of the law. There are obviously many laws in different countries, and normal cash is used for these transactions. But in order for illegal transactions to occur, the cash must also be used for legal transactions. You need an illegal to legal bridge. That's where crypto comes in. And immediately after I read this, I don't necessarily totally disagree with him. Bitcoin gained a lot of its fame early on because of the website Silk Road, which was a website where people can buy drugs, they can order a hitman, anything illegal you can think of, you were able to do this by using Bitcoin. Since then, we've kind of moved away from that. Now people see Bitcoin in a different light. You have financial institutions getting involved, and people are able to use it to buy actual safe and legal products such as a house or a boat. But even today, in 2020, Bitcoin is still being used for illegal transactions. And a lot of people might not want to speak about it, but it's very important that we do. Just recently, we found out that Palestinian militant group Hamas has received 3,370 Bitcoins in donations since 2015. Now, this really can't be stopped. If people want to donate money to this terrorist group, they simply send it to the address wallet and no one can really stop it from happening. And then another thing going on currently with Bitcoin that you can say is used primarily for illegal criminal activity are countries are openly coming out, such as Iran and North Korea, and they want to adopt the use of cryptocurrency because it's a way for them to avoid US sanctions. It's a way for them to send money wherever they want. And also, although Bitcoin is not totally private, it's more private than the current methods going on today. So Bitcoin surely is being used for bad things. But everything that we've always had in our history in the past, things that were bad, are financed with the same money we use today. Buying drugs, we use cash. Banks, they participate in corrupt activities. Money laundering, using cash. Then also wars, they're financed with cash. So, of course, it's like a double, it's positive and negative. When it comes to Bitcoin, we just spoke about the negatives. And then when we talk about cash, it can be used for horrible, evil things, or it can be used for great things. We all use cash today. And when we talk about the internet, one of the most important things, maybe is the most important things within the past 20 years that we use, and I don't know what the world would be like without it. Even in the beginning, it was used for, I would say, corrupt purposes, which many people don't even know about. In the beginning, one of the main drivers for the internet to grow was pornography. Many developers really put in the time and effort to grow and improve the internet because of pornography. So they wanted to develop ways to make pictures more clear, make videos more clear, easier to stream, develop better ways to accept payments online. And this helped the internet grow into what it is today. Now, you might be wondering, these stories I told you about, North Korea, Iran, these terrorist groups, why doesn't someone just stop them? Well, that's the thing about Bitcoin. It's totally decentralized. It cannot be stopped, and anyone can participate. When it comes to who can be on the Bitcoin network, there's no ethic or moral standard involved. Really, anyone can be part of it. It's very decentralized. If you can see the global map around me, at the moment, there's almost 11,000 nodes across the world. And again, anyone can participate. So while anyone can participate, including dictatorship countries and terrorists and criminals, at the same time, people that actually need it in the world can participate. And I'm going to show you the good side or the positive about that. So right now, China, it's looking like George Orwell's 1984. They really watch everything you do, control everything you do, and it's almost like people are living day to day in a jail. China has a rule where you're not allowed to transfer more than $50,000 out of the country each year. Now, this is very limiting. We don't have this in America. If you want to invest in a business overseas or you want to move to another country, you can take your money and you can move. But not everyone has that liberty that we have. So people in China right now, again, they're living in George Orwell's 1984 kind of world. Very easily now, they can use Bitcoin and they can transfer their money anywhere in the world. Again, it doesn't matter that they're living in a country such as China, who clearly doesn't want them to use Bitcoin. There's no way for them to control it. Another thing is refugees, right? I'll use the most recent example I can think of Syrian refugees. It doesn't matter if they had $1,000, $1 million, or $1 billion. They had to run away from their country to save their lives. So again, if someone even had $1 million, they can't bring it with them. And you might be thinking of all these ways you can do it. Well, first, they didn't have much time to think about it. So they just have to jump, and you see that they just jumped on boats. They didn't even know what countries they were going to, and they just had to flee the country. But even if you had time to set it up, it's still difficult to coordinate it between all the banks. And again, you don't know what country you're moving to. Very difficult. Bitcoin solves that super. It's so easy. I don't think people truly get it. You can take however much money you have and you can simply put it on an online wallet. You could put it on a hardware wallet, or you don't even have to put it on anything physical. You can remember the private seed or the private phrase. So to keep that simple, a person could have $1 million in their head. Or maybe they'll have $1 million and they tattoo the password on their skin. Or as you can see, when people travel from country to country, they are able to bring clothes on their back. So they can put a little USB with their private seeds. And no matter where they end up, they will have their money. So Bitcoin, because it's accessible to anyone, including criminals, it's also life-saving that anyone in the world can participate in it despite what country they live in. Another thing is in Venezuela, the hyperinflation rate hit 10 million%, meaning that people that technically were millionaires a few years ago, they don't even have $1 to their name. And this is because Venezuela's corrupt system and corrupt government made it this way. And because, again, Bitcoin is accessible to anyone and it doesn't discriminate, anyone can participate. And that's what Venezuelans have done. So Venezuelans are on pace to lead merchant adoption as Bitcoin trading volume sets new record. The reason is because they don't want to use their currency. It's not worth anything. And they don't have access to any currency they want. They can't just say, let me use the US dollar. It's not as easy for them. But again, Bitcoin does not discriminate. Anyone is able to participate, so they're able to use it. And right now, Burger Kings, 40 of them in Venezuela, are accepting Bitcoin. And another popular cryptocurrency in Venezuela is Dash, which has seen a 562% increase report in 2020. So again, anyone can participate. And then the last thing I want to talk about in terms of participation is banking the unbanked. Not most people, but a large majority of Africans don't have a bank account, and they don't even have a chance to open a bank account. And it's not only in Africa, there's other parts of the world where not everyone has access to a bank account. And we really take this for granted. It's very difficult to participate in business and grow an economy without any sort of banking, financing, and loaning. And that's why Africa, which is a country that might have the most natural resources in the world, is at the same time one of the poorest continents. Well, I think it is the poorest continent in the world because they don't have access to banking. To open up a bank account, you need a few things, right? It might sound simple, but it's not as simple for everyone. You'll usually need at least 2 forms of identification, which not everyone has. You'll also need a proof of address, and then with the proof of address, you need to show a bill with your name on it. Not everyone has this, especially in a country like Africa. And it's probably not even this simple. If you do want to open up a bank account where they do have it in Africa, you'll probably need more material to prove who you are because it's more risky there. Again, super simple because Bitcoin is accessible to anyone. Anyone can join the banking system. Anyone can participate in the economy. And just to recap that, Elon Musk said that criminals can use it, and he's 100% true. Criminals can use it, and at the same time, the people that truly need it around the world can use it. And same thing, cash that we use every day all around the world, it's the same cash that's used for corruption, murder, war, and drugs. Now, the second thing I want to talk about today are US banks possibly holding cryptocurrency for US customers. Now, this is something a few years ago we could have never imagined. A few years ago, government and especially banks, they were opposed to cryptocurrency. They viewed it the same way as Elon Musk just viewed it recently, as primarily for criminal purposes. But fortunately, the US government and also banks, they have a more positive outlook on cryptocurrency now. So there was a bill, well, I'll read from the article I have in front of me. Hawaiian lawmakers have introduced a bipartisan bill that would allow banks to hold cryptocurrencies. Now, they just proposed it. It has not been passed. But if it is passed, it will give access and authorization to banks in Hawaii to hold cryptocurrency for people. Now, while this might be a very new concept in America, it's not a new concept in the world. German banks have already caught on to this trend, and they have already been authorized. It's already been accepted that they'll be able to store and sell cryptocurrency in 2020, which should go into effect very soon. So overall, we can see that the positivity of cryptocurrency at the higher level of institutions and banks and government, it's improving over time. We're slowly moving away from that narrative that cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is primarily used for criminals, despite what Elon Musk thinks about it. And then the last thing I want to cover today is Ripple hints at an IPO, an initial public offering in 2020. So now you can buy into the company Ripple. And you might be wondering, but I own XRP. Don't I own the company Ripple? Not at all. Ripple is a company. XRP is a token. And the truth is, Ripple, the company, doesn't even really use the token very much. When it comes to the company Ripple, they have two products. One is called xCurrent, and one is called xRapid. xRapid is the technology that uses the XRP token. The problem is, most of the companies that Ripple works with, they don't use xRapid, they use xCurrent. If you look at Ripple's price or XRP's price on CoinMarketCap, it's only 22 cents. It's down from its all-time highs, and it has not been performing well, especially compared to other cryptocurrencies. And you might have wondered why. The reason is because right now at least, there's no use case for XRP. People are not using it. When you go on Ripple's website and you see they have 300 plus financial institutions across 40 countries, and you can see a list of all of these big names, yes, they're partnered with Ripple, but they're not using xRapid, they're using xCurrent. Now, Ripple itself, the company, is very successful. Their cryptocurrency XRP is not successful, but the company is very successful because of all these partnerships using, again, xCurrent, not xRapid, and they're valued now at $10 billion, which is a lot of money for a company that is relatively new. So when they have this IPO, what's going to happen? What's the reason they're doing this? Is this a quick money grab? IPOs are very dangerous. Warren Buffett mentioned that he never bought into an IPO, and he never plans to buy into an IPO. The reason IPOs are dangerous, and Warren Buffett wouldn't have, what I'm going to say now, Warren Buffett wouldn't have this problem as much, because when you are a large player, an accredited investor, have a lot of money, you can usually buy into, I guess, like the pre-IPO before the actual IPO in the market, right? So when it comes to a company like Ripple, right, they already have their early investors. They'll still be taking in investments from other players, and then the day they release an IPO to the public, to regular people like you or me. We're going to be all excited, all hype, and we're going to go buy it. What happens a lot of times, or many times in IPOs, is that all of the people in the market, they buy the IPO, the price skyrockets over a very short period. The early investors have just made a ton of money. They sell their portion, they sell their equity, they make a ton of money, and all the new investors lose everything and they get wrecked. So IPOs are a very, very dangerous game. IPOs is like playing the lottery. Even if you did the research and a company looks good, everything's in place, the CEO is great, it's very dangerous for the very reason that I just mentioned, that early investors make so much money right off the bat that they dump. But again, it's not even certain that it will even go up on the day you buy in. You can buy an IPO and you might be expecting that I'm going to sell it after 3 days because 3 days will go up, the early investors will get out, I'll sell too. But sometimes you buy an IPO and it goes down immediately. So you have to be very careful. I hope that you found value in today's video, and if you like my content, I want you right now to go down below. Please, right now, go down below and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.